Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, all right. Well, it's time, almost time to get started. So, as I said before, thank you very much for coming. This is the first of a series of forums that we're going to have. The first one being about the role of the president. And then next month, we're going to look at the role of the secretary. We're going to look at membership during membership month. And we'll continue based on what you tell us you want. So if you can think of some sort of training that you would particularly like, well, then we'll come up with something for that. In May and June, we're going to run an online leadership program over 6 weeks that was originally written by Anthea Penny, but I'm in the process of converting that so that we can have an interactive online program as a result of that. And it's really interesting. I'm enjoying working with it. So before we start, I'll just like to acknowledge that I'm hosting this meeting in the lands of the Darkinjung people, and I acknowledge the traditional custodians on various lands on which we meet today. I pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and celebrate the diversity of Indigenous peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to lands and waters. I'll start by introducing Kerry. Kerry Beer, do you want to give us a wave, Kerry? I know most people probably know you anyway, but we'll recognise you there. Kerry is the director of SISEAP, and she is the chair of the M2M movement and committee and campaign, of course, too. I'd also like to introduce Christine Johnson. Give us a wave, Christine. Christine is SISEAP membership convener. Who else should I introduce, Kerry? Have I missed anybody that...
No, that's other than the panel, of course.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to do that soon. Kerry, would you like to say a few words before we start?
Just briefly, as you've already outlined, this is the start of a series of things that we're going to provide really in response to conversations that we've been having during last year in various forums. And I guess trying to provide back to our members activities, information sessions and other tools that they will find useful in supporting their activities within their club from a membership point of view. And in particular, this series is about the leadership roles. And we are very aware that people don't always want to step into these roles because they sound a bit daunting, particularly when you talk about titles. But what we want to do is debunk some of that and provide you with practical information around the tasks at hand as opposed to the labels that perhaps frighten people off. So real life how-tos from people who have experience. And so our goal is to give attendees confidence to you as new presidents or to people who are considering taking on the role of president, and in the future the other sessions that Jill's mentioned. And I'd just like to say thank you to the panel for being the first to agree to provide that insight and experience to the broader audience. And we look forward to this being the start of other good things to come. So back to you, Jill.
Okay, thanks, Kerry. I'd like to introduce our speakers now. Now, we have 4 women who either are at the moment or have been presidents of their clubs who have agreed to share their experiences with you. So we'll start with Wendy Breakey from SI Melbourne in Victoria. Where are you, Wendy? I can't see you on my screen, but oh, there she is. There. Then we've got Judith Mason from SI North Canterbury in New Zealand. I can see Judith there.
Manson.
Manson.
Yes.
Is it? Oh, okay. I wonder if I've put your name correctly into the chat. I'll have a look at that in a minute. And we've got Veronica Taps from SI Hornsby in New South Wales. And we've got Nora Lamb from SI Bangsai in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. So thank you, ladies. The way we're going to do this afternoon is to, each lady's going to have a turn of talking. And then at the end of that time, they're going to answer your questions. So if you have a question that comes to you as you're watching, would you type it into the chat, please? And after each speaker, we'll ask those questions and see if they can come up with some answers for you. At the end of the time, we'll also look again to see if there are any questions that anybody would like to ask at the end of the session. So we're going to...
Sorry, Jill, just before we launch in, if someone's not sure about how to put something in the chat, just maybe use the react sign to put your hand up so that we can make sure we get everyone's questions.
Yes.
We'll have plan B.
Yep, sounds fantastic. Okay, let's ask Wendy if she'd like to get started. It might be a good idea if you go to view and just go to speaker view at the top of the page, if you know how to do that. The 9 little dots right up on the top right-hand side of the page. And if you, I think the one on the top on my screen anyway says speaker, if you can get it that way. Okay, let's start with Wendy. Thank you, Wendy.
Okay, thanks, Jill. Hi, everyone. So this is a little bit daunting to go first and be the first speaker in this series, but we've had a get-together with the whole group to talk about providing, I guess, some tips and some of our reflections, if you like, on our roles as being presidents of a Soroptimist International Club. So I guess I'll just launch straight into, I've got a few dot points where I thought I would just put those out and then elaborate on, or if anyone's got any questions on. So I guess for me, mainly, the main thing is that you're the facilitator of the club occurring and happening and the meetings happening. So you're not the one that does everything. You're not the one that knows everything. It's your job to be the leader to work with your other team members and to work with your the conveners of your committees and the rest of your club members. And for me, starting off a meeting is really focusing on why we are doing what we're doing. So we always generally start, and I think most of us do that, we start with the objects. And I like to ask a different member of the club to read the objects each time too. And I think that just really focuses everybody on why we're there. We're, remembering we are part of a worldwide group of women who all share the same vision. We're all here for the same reasons. We want to help other women and girls in our communities. And so that's a really big point for me, is to continue to come back to that. It's our reason for being, if you like, and why we're doing this. Also, too, our club meets online, so we have to be very focused and we have to be very committed to our time, because we have a 1-hour session online. But we'll do also to have other face-to-face and get-togethers regularly to make sure that we do have that fellowship and friendship that we enjoy as Soroptimists as well. So also allowing with the meeting to allow a bit of time for chit chat, to find out what's going on with everybody, to get everybody sort of in the mood and relaxed about what that we're here together, working together. But another part of it is that's preparing and planning your agenda. So you do have your timings and your headings in place, that you have read all the papers, that you do know what is coming up and what's expected. And if you do need to make something a little bit shorter, or that members are more interested in speaking about something, that you actually have a bit of flexibility too in your attitude, in the way that you're running the meeting, but still keeping in mind that you're following an agenda. And part of that is for us to facilitate participation from members, because I know sometimes when you look around the table, you're looking at someone who's you think might want to say something but may not necessarily want to put their hand up. So it's about being a bit aware of who's sitting around you, and maybe what their strengths may well be, where you can draw them out as well and encourage them to participate. So words that come to mind for me are listen, respect, enabling by delegating, encouraging members to try something new or to get involved in something new that they haven't done before, engage with members' new ideas and with their passions, because we all have certain things in our lives that we're more interested in, or certain things that advocacy projects that we might like to be involved with. So making sure that we get that from around the table, empower and allow other members to take the lead, and support members in their efforts, because sometimes it doesn't always go to plan. So another important thing is to have a buddy up system. So each of our conveners, we have a support for them. So if they're on holiday or they're a bit overwhelmed with what they've got to do, there's always somebody there that can step in beside them and give them a hand to do what they're doing. And in doing that, you're fostering inclusivity, and you're recognising and acknowledging that everybody has a part to play. And I guess by that, you lead by example. It's not about you, it's about everybody else around the table, and it's about you just keeping everybody on track and being there together. And I guess it's about teamwork and sharing the load together and working together. So that's probably my little spiel on
Okay,
my dot points.
thank you very much, Wendy. I can't see that there
Thanks,
are
Nora.
any questions in the chat yet. If anybody would like to ask a question of Wendy, I've got one. What's the most fulfilling part of your role, Wendy, or of the role of the president when you were the president? Are you currently the president?
Yes, I am currently the president of SI Melba, yes. I guess it comes back to the teamwork and sharing with everybody, everybody's knowledge, and working to everyone's strengths and having fun along the way. And I guess working with our members and having their backs when we're doing that.
That's right. And why did you agree to take on this role in the first place?
I guess I had been a club secretary, so I'd worked very closely with our club president. I can't remember way back when. I've been a Soroptimist for well over 20 odd years. So I think the first time I took on the role, I just thought that it was probably a natural progression to be able to, because when you're the club secretary, you're not the EA to the president. You are a very valued member of the team, and we have to work very closely together. So I thought that it was probably a good progression from there.
Okay, thank you very much. Has anybody got any other questions of Wendy? All right, thank you. Think about it, because we can come back to questions at the end as well. Now I'm going to introduce Judith Manson. Now, Judith is a member of SI North Canterbury. So let's find Judith.
Hello.
There she is. Okay. Judith, would you like to introduce yourself? Are you currently a president, or
I've just stepped down. I'm now immediate past president as of last Monday.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Would you like to tell people about yourself and your club and your role?
Yes. I've been a Soroptimist since 2004, so 20 plus years again. Executive member and treasurer. I was formerly a secretary of another club too, a different club altogether. But I'm very familiar with the way our club works and why it's done well. That helped me ease into the role, because I've never been a president before and I had big shoes to fill, that's for sure, a hard act to follow. But we're a rural town, well, a large rural town. We've got a very supportive community, and I've been working on getting that support. We partner with various other organisations too, and I've taken that as part of my role, is to make sure I liaise with other groups who support us and we support them. So that spreads the word of Soroptimism too, which is really good. We have monthly meetings all the time. We have tried online, but a lot of our members are older. We've actually got 45 members now. They just come together monthly. We have a meal, we have social time, half an hour drink, have a meal, a meeting, well, a speaker, and then a short meeting. Usually the executive have met the week before and summarised everything, so we don't bog our members down with too much. But getting back to one thing that Wendy said, we actually have creed cards. Everybody gets handed a card just before we start the meeting, and we all recite the creed, the Sir Optimus Creed together. So that really enforces that. Yeah, so we may have to go to online meetings at some stage, but not at the moment. That works really well for us. We started a high school group, and I don't take credit for that, but I've made sure in my 2 years that we've liaised. We've got a special member, actually our incoming president, who I hope is online, and she liaises with the girls. We had a meal with them a while back, which was highly successful, and one of the girls said, "You ladies have fun." And that's what I've sort of said. We've got to keep that fun up to keep our members engaged. Most of our activities, projects are focused on Sir Optimus missions. Occasionally, we just have some good fun too. But we try to keep that balance, and I've worked hard to try and get that balance. We all know why we're Sir Optimus, so we don't need to push that down our members. I've seen in past years some very serious presidents, and then the membership has dropped off because people are not engaged. And we need people there to do the projects, whether they're interested in the international things or their bureaucracy or not. As long as they're there helping, doing the work, that's the main thing. Yes, we just don't want to put them off. My take as a president was that we can only do some good if everyone is engaged, and we'll only keep them engaged if they enjoy the friendship and the social side of things. That's why I've tried to do that. You work with the executive, the secretary, you try and have good notes and good filing so that you don't have to rely on your hardworking secretary not ringing her up every minute. Have you got this? Have you got that? I try to keep a full file of everything. And collaboration, communication, essential. And I've also found that you've got to take yourself some notes, even discreetly sometimes, because you can't, with that many people in a room, you can't always remember everything that everybody said to you. Just duck back to the desk, write a wee note, carry on, and nobody is aware of that, hopefully. As Wendy said, you can't take on all the responsibility, but it's your mission to guide everybody and make sure things are happening. Follow up. If something doesn't happen, there must be a why. And that's part of looking after your Sir Optimus family too. When running a meeting, and I was very nervous to start with, extremely, just fake confidence. It does get easier. If you lose track, consult the agenda. Have a wee pause and think. And you can also encourage others to talk about projects and events because they don't want to just hear your voice. They want to hear everybody needs a say. I'm just trying to think what else I had. Sometimes I've struck it where discussions look like they might turn into a wee bit heated. Just call a halt. I sometimes, if too many people are talking, I say, ring the bell, or I just call out, ladies, we need to take a refresh and work this through. And then I'll delegate who should speak and try and get it under control because it's not easy with a big group. They're very different interests. But basically my thing is that you listen to everyone, you guide everyone as best you can and rely on everybody to help. And also to honour the older members who do have valuable wisdom. So we've got a range in age probably from 18 to nearly 90 now. So that takes a bit of management, but it seems to work. I think that's all I've really got to say.
Well, thank you very much, Judith. Thank you. And still we're having people reluctant to post questions. So I've got a question for you. How do you encourage regular members? I know this has been a problem in our club as well. Some people are very concerned with what's happening locally, but not so interested in what's happening worldwide. Do you have any clues to encourage people?
Not really, no, because if they're not interested, they're not interested. But I think if they come along to a project and we can, that helps, but we can't, if they're not interested, they're not.
That's right.
So
And I guess locally is a great place to start, isn't it?
yeah, you can sort of infiltrate the international information, but it's not easy.
I agree. Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions there that we might have? Could I ask everybody just to mute their microphones unless they are speaking, please, because there's a little bit of disturbance every so often. Okay.
Jill,
There's a good question as well, I can see.
There is a question up there. Yeah.
Yes, there's a couple of questions coming in. Judith, how are clubs engaging younger members?
Well, through that high school group, which they're not members of the Soroptimist organisation, but we've got a deputy head from the high school and a board of trustees member, and now we've got 2 more in their 50s, 60s joining. It's just word of mouth and gentle working away on it, encouraging. And I think it's going to snowball, hopefully. We've got our fingers crossed that it's one will bring another, will bring another.
Yes, and that's what happens, isn't it? Thank you.
Yeah.
And how do you encourage everyone to attend your meetings?
By having a good speaker or an activity. Yeah, that's it, really. We need good speakers. And I've had a couple of successful evenings where I haven't had a speaker, but I've said, right, you ladies are talented. Bring your things along. Well, we've had such a good time showing all the amazing craft and artwork and everything. And that engages everybody. And the ones who don't say boo during a meeting stand up and talk about things. So I think that's important to nurture our own members, because we are to improve the lives of women and girls. We need to improve the lives of our members too.
Okay, thank you very much. I've had a question come in, or several questions actually, so people are warming up to the idea of asking questions. How do you find the schools to partner with? Are you partnering with just one school or with several schools?
Just the Rangiora High School at the moment.
Yes.
We made attempts to partner with other ones, but other people in Christchurch were doing that. So Rangiora High. We've looked at Kaiapoi High, which is only 10 minutes down the road. You've got to have the right headmaster or deputy heads.
Yes.
And if you can't get engagement from them, you can't do it. It's going to be a slow process, but we are now reaping the rewards, I think.
Yes.
But
right.
yeah, so you've got to just go in there and be a bit brave.
Yeah.
We do help the Karinga Mai at Kaiapoi High, and we're ever optimistic that we will get a foot in the door there at some stage through Kaiapoi.
Okay, thank you. From my experience in working with schools, I find if you can get to the head teacher of the welfare department, if you have a welfare program that you want to work with them, I found that quite successful. So, perhaps people might like to have a look at that, because I know trying to get to school principals first is often a difficult road to take.
Actually, we tried a male first, and he was useless. And it wasn't until there were 2 deputy head females that they came on board. One hasn't become a member, but she's very supportive.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
I had my hand up for a bit, but you didn't see me.
I'm
Leanne.
sorry.
I'm from Soroptimist in Devonport. I thought it's easier to actually ask it rather than try and write it. I'm president-elect of Devonport and Tasmania Soroptimist, and you commented on how on discussions like, you need to rein them in. I find sometimes a discussion may go around and round the room, but it's never summarised at the end. And so then you still really don't know what was decided. And I guess that's something that, I think it's something that I want to bring when I am as president, but when I do eventually get elected as president, but is that what you would recommend? Sort of because sometimes it's nice to let everybody discuss, but then sometimes there's never an answer, and how do you sort of manage that?
At the end of the day, I just say, right, this is my take on this. Any objections or, really, it's just, this is my summary of what we're thinking. And then we might have to take it back to the executive to fine tune. But there's not always a right answer for everything, but you have to go with the majority.
Mm-hmm.
If there's,
Nora, sorry, Judith. Nora, you looked as if you'd like to respond to that question as well. Is there something you'd like to say? You need to turn on your microphone.
I think when you said, issues just go round and round, somebody's got to step in and just summarize and say, is this what we mean? Can we have that recorded? If it's a decision that needs to be put down in writing, then you say, can we have this as a ROD, a record of decision that we want? You've got somebody, I agree, rein it in. As president, you need to do that.
Yep, that's your job.
And sometimes decisions need to go back to a committee so that they can be more succinct in what they bring to the meeting and present to the meeting. Let's just see if there are other questions here. Do you keep track of things through action items? And is that a good idea?
You're asking me?
Yes. Is that something you do at your club?
Yeah, I suppose so. We don't define it in those terms, but yes, we do summarise things and we do send notices out to our members with the decisions that are made. And we do a program, which is great, and they know when things are happening and we update it during the year, and we do put decisions sometimes in there, but we keep communication open by email with our members.
Okay, thank you. And Jackie McDonald's asked me to comment on something that we do in our club. I've done it personally. I've got together a biography of each member of the club. So just a little thumbnail photograph with some information that goes beside it. And I've made that into a little booklet, and that goes in our introduction pack to new members. So somebody only just needs to look across the room and recognise the photo and say, oh, I wonder what that person does for a living, or what that person's history is or family is, or something like that. And it's just a way of people getting to know each other quicker and, finding common interests and that sort of thing. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, and there's also a comment there from Sandra Johnston to say that the best training ground for a president or a leader is Toastmasters International, and I think that we probably all agree that that provides really good training in public speaking and so on. Okay, we're going to move forward now, and we'll ask Virginia Taps from SI Hornsby if she would talk to us for a little while about her club and her role.
Okay, thank you, Jill. It's actually Veronica, but never mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. I say that all the time,
okay.
don't I? Even when I'm talking to you personally.
It's one of those names. You'd be surprised the number of times. Anyway, okay, thank you for everybody for attending this forum, and thank you, Jill, for inviting me to share some of my experiences with you. I've been a member of Sir Optimus Hornsby for over 25 years. And Hornsby, for anybody who doesn't know, is on the upper North Shore of Sydney. And I was president for a couple of years, 2005, 2006, when I think Jill, your club was actually inaugurated then, wasn't it?
It was.
And more recently, I've just come out of a stint of 3 years as president of SI Hornsby, and now I'm secretary. My professional experience is in high school science teaching for about 25 years, and followed by a career in dietetics in private practice, and also as an assistant lecturer at Sydney University in the Human Nutrition Department there. Everybody's mentioned friendship a lot, which is actually encouraging, because that's one of the key things I feel about Soroptimists. And I would describe our club as a very friendly club. We've got 17 members, quite different from you, Judith, managing 45 members. And many of them, actually, of our members, do have a wealth of experience as Soroptimists. We meet twice a month, and that works well for us because it does, I find it keeps everybody connected. And we always have a meal together before the meeting. And that's where you know all the chit chat can take place. That's where we catch up with what's going on in everybody's lives. If anybody's needing some help with something, you know, you've always got your Soroptimist friends. Somebody will put their hand up or say, "Oh, you know, I'll take you to that," or "I can help you fix that." That sort of thing. So that can all be got out of the way then, and I think that's actually an important part of the occasion. And like has been said also, a few of our members do struggle with the modern technology for communicating. And so we do have to bear with that and help them wherever we can. Our business meetings are usually quite, they are organised and well run. And we use the consent agenda, which is described in the club leadership handbook. And that helps to get through quite a lot of the proceedings quite rapidly. We always have a speaker, and we try and relate that to, we do relate it to our goals. For instance, suppose it's World Environment Month, which is June. Then we have had in the past the waste project manager from our local recycling centre come and speak to us about that, and gave us the not encouraging statistic that Sydney will run out of landfill space by the year 2030. So we're all being very, very particular about our recycling now. But we also call on the expertise of our members. One of our members in particular, she gave a very interesting talk about Smith College in the United States, which is where she went to as an undergrad. And it was the first college to introduce women students 150 years ago last year. And she actually went back there for the celebration. So that's just an example of how you can use experiences and expertise of your members. Just as far as, you know, a practical thing, trying to avoid acronyms wherever possible without them having been properly explained beforehand. You can sometimes look around and see people sort of eyes glazing over because it doesn't matter how experienced a member you are. Sometimes there's just too many abbreviations that you lose track of the discussion, and we don't want that. Our planning meeting is much more informal. Once again, we have a meal beforehand, and as the name suggests, we use this time to plan our activities. For instance, we've got an International Women's Breakfast coming up next month. So our last planning meeting last week was all around that. So making sure that we've dotted all the I's and crossed the T's, and that you know, everybody has been involved in some way with that, with responsibility for a task. Membership. For us, is always a bit of a struggle. We've got 17 members, and I was saying to Jill earlier on that you meet people, and they're interested in what you're doing. Selling raffle tickets at the local shopping centre. They want to volunteer, but it is very important that people do become familiar with the goals of Soroptimism before, by being invited to a number of meetings, because it's very disappointing, if people don't realise that there is a time commitment, and obviously we have fewer members, so they may be asked to do a bit more, perhaps sometimes, than in other clubs, but it's disappointing if you've had a new member who decides not to carry on with it for whatever reason. And it usually is, there's got too many other things going on in their lives. And, maybe they will rejoin us at some other point. But we've maintained this number now for a few years. And a new president coming in. Now, it's really good. Obviously, you need to be familiar with your club's current projects and activities, but it's good if you can be introducing something new to the club. And in my second round as president, this was one thing that I wanted to do. And this is when we started our International Women's Day event. And that's now in its 4th year. And that's proved to be, popular too, not only with our members, but, with community and other Soroptimist clubs in and around Sydney too. And another example, our new president coming in, she's mooted the idea of lunchtime meetings, which I know, maybe it wouldn't suit all clubs, but certainly we're giving it a trial. And she's also researched a new venue, which is free, which is also very good. And so we're trialing lunchtime meetings at the moment, and that seems to be pretty well, accepted as we go along. I'm not sure with other regions, but our region, New South Wales, has some quarterly meetings, one of which is online, which a lot of you know, and the other 3 are face-to-face, and they are hosted by different clubs. And I think it's a good idea to try and encourage people to attend the region meetings, because it's a good opportunity for meeting new friends, for catching up with old ones, and for getting to know a lot more about the business organisation of Soroptimist. So I do encourage people to do that. We've found also it helps with liaising with other clubs on events and projects. We're not far away from SI The Hills, and we've had a fair bit of help from them with our Stitching Dreams project. That wouldn't have been as successful without them. And my final piece of advice, which has sort of been covered so far, but don't try and micromanage your club. Try and choose reliable executive members, and you do have an important leadership role, but as has been said, you can't be responsible for everything. And it's also important to include a lot of people in minor roles wherever possible. And one thing that I always try and do when you write your President's Monthly Report, I try and name people who that month who have actually, taken part and contributed in something. As many people as I can think of, who's done something that month. It may not be particularly, a huge thing, but people like to be appreciated and they like to be recognised, and I do like to try and do that. So I'd say good luck. It's rewarding being a president, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a question that I've got here. Do you have a planning meeting at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year? I know some clubs have their planning meeting at the end of the year so that they can start the beginning of the year running. What's your thoughts on that?
We always have it at the beginning of the year. Obviously, things like the International Women's Day breakfast, before we first meet again in February, there's been a lot of work gone on, in the background with the venue and Humanitix, with the booking for the tickets and all of that sort of thing. But we only actually have a planning meeting in February. People are away. Myself included, have 2 or 3 weeks away during January, and sometimes you spend some of that time on Soroptimist stuff, but that's all par for the course. But yes, so we start at the beginning of the year and plan the activities, and then whatever crops up during the year, that can be added to the agendas.
Okay, thank you very much, Veronica, and I got your name right that time too. I'd now like to ask Nora Lamb from SI Bangsai in Kuala Lumpur if she'd tell us about her experience as a president. Thanks, Nora.
Thank you very much, Jillian, for organising this. I am currently the president for SI Bangsa, and I should be stepping down sometime next week on February the 28th, actually. It has been a great experience. I am a person who lives 300 miles away from Bangsa. So we commute as frequently as I can, but most of our EXCO meetings are held online, and we have general meetings where all members turn up. Just adding on what everybody's been talking about, I think membership is so important. We have a good practice of first getting the convener, the extension convener, to meet up with a potential new member or members over tea, and then we actually have an induction program for them where we introduce Soroptimism, what we've been doing, what our projects are, where we stand in the whole world picture. I think that's very useful for members to be interested in this organization as against other organizations. We just brought in a new corporate member, and that was, I think it was a feather in our cap, because they helped us out a lot with our 16 days of activism last year. They are a company that involves itself in social media and also interested in community service. And now we have additional 2 young women from that organization that attends our meetings, and they add a fresh face to what we've been doing all the time. So that is a good collaboration. I think the other good thing that we do at Bangsa is we do a lot of collaborations with other organizations. So it's just not going to a community, like a home, and trying to do a project, for them, but we actually work together, like what we did with the indigenous community. We had global volunteers coming in from America, and we worked together with them and 2 other clubs, Soroptimist clubs, to teach English over at this indigenous community. So we find, and that was an outreach project, out of Kuala Lumpur. We find that collaborations actually enhance value of a club, so that would attract new members because they see, oh, it's not all about the 24 women who sit together all the time. We actually get to mix with others. We actually meet corporates. We actually understand other organizations and how they work. I think that is an interesting play. The other thing is, I think as a president, especially for a club like ours, which is 33 years old, I would say one of the challenges is trying to match perspectives. Because you have perspectives coming from people who've been with the club for years and years, who actually brought great funds, for projects and things like that. You also have new members who never knew the history of the club, who never knew the efforts that were put in by the founders. So you need to be able to match those expectations. What do new members want? Do they want people talking about, yes, we did this, we used to do that, as against what can we do in future? Where can we contribute? So that's one of our, I think, a president's challenge, to be able to give that voice to everyone. That's how I see that. The other thing is we use a lot of input from our conveners. So the convener position is very important in the club, and I think the president needs to encourage each convener to come up with a project plan for the year. And we do that almost at the very start of a presidency, with a budget for the year and what potential projects are there, who needs help, who needs support. That's another approach that we take on. So I think everything else everyone's been talking about, so I'm open for questions.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Do you present your meeting as a hybrid meeting so that people can actually join the meeting face-to-face and join in online as well?
Yes, we do, and we have invested in a very good speaker system. We have a member who actually is part of a university, and she has arranged for us to use her auditorium, which is fantastic. Yes.
And what equipment do you use?
Well, we have a laptop that is linked up to a big, I would say a big screen, yeah, that everyone can actually log in.
Okay, excellent. And a question from Megan. Can you explain more about conveners? What do the conveners actually do in your club?
Oh, wow. They do a lot, because we have the extension convener, which is for membership, you know, and we have the environment convener. So they plan what projects we have for World Environment Day, or even for recycling throughout the year. And we have a convener for almost every topic, you know, like for empowerment of women and girls, for economic empowerment. So every convener has to plan out, and then they put it out in a WhatsApp group. Anyone would like to join my committee, my subcommittee, so that we can plan for the next event. And all other members would then just come in if they are free to join. So that's how, and we work out projects also. Something I learned from way back when I was program convener, to work with the PFR, you know, to use the program focus report and work backwards, which means you start with a sustainable development goal that you want to achieve. And once you've got that and you look at your PFR, you are able to actually draft out something that would be perfect as a project, not just an activity, and you would be ready to submit a PFR down the road. You don't have to scramble to submit a PFR. You know, you have that already ready as the starting point. That's a good practice.
Excellent. And can I just add on that point? I know Jackie McLaughlin's online. Jackie's the president-elect for New South Wales. And last year, Jackie shared with New South Wales clubs an excellent pro forma for doing exactly that, for recognising which development goals you were working with, and a very clear guidelines on how to set out your project. And that's very useful also if you want to apply for best practice awards, because you've already got it there and you can just sort of relate to the planning document when you're making that application. Okay, we've heard from all our speakers now. Are there any other questions that people might like to ask before we finish? One thing I'd just like to do, and I was going to do this at the beginning, and to tell you the truth, I forgot. I got straight into what we were doing. I'm just going to share with you the leadership handbook, the club leadership handbook that you'll find online. And I think that you'll relate to a lot of things in the role of the president that have been talked about today, but they might mean a little bit more to you if we look at it now. So I'm going to share my screen. It'll only take me a minute to get set up to do that. And let me see where it is. It's here. So as you can see, I've put the link in the chat. So if you'd like to find this online, it's there if you follow that link. And just really quickly, an effective president, and I'm sure you can relate all of these things to things we talked about, should preside at all general meetings of the club and at meetings of the executive committee. We can tick that one, we've talked about that. Be an ex officio member of club subcommittees, yes. Have a sound knowledge of Sir Optimus International goals and objectives. Be aware of the information available on the website and have copies of relevant information at meetings when necessary. Be well organised and well prepared. We've certainly talked about that, and have a clear idea of what you want to achieve. I liked Veronica's idea particularly of a new president bringing a new project or a new activity to the club. It's something that they can stand for in the 2 years of their presidency. Be aware of the abilities of all members of clubs and sensitive to their needs. I know at our club we've got some people who really enjoy knitting, and so we've got a winter warmers project so that those people are important in that particular role, whereas they might not want to join in something that needs more organisation skills or something like that. Foster good relationship between members and maintain a happy club. We've certainly talked about that. Ensure that all club members are involved and that they take on responsibility. Be able to delegate responsibility. Be supportive of individuals and their undertakings, and be aware that the executive team is responsible for the education of members in all aspects of Sir Optimist International, and that's what we're aiming to do with these forums and with our M2M newsletter. You'll find that there will be links there to activities that you can do in your clubs. One of the things that I've volunteered to do is to write a monthly questionnaire about our online bulletins, our e-bulletin. And we've had some fun at our club in doing that by asking those questions and having small groups get together and try to come up with the answers. And it encourages members to actually read the bulletin and keep in touch with what's going on, not just in their own clubs, but on a wider range. A balance between action, achievement and social activities is really important. And I think just to finish off, tips for incoming presidents: be yourself. You're not going to be the same person as the person who was president last time, and you're going to bring something completely different to that club. Kerry, would you like to add to that?
I just wanted to let you know, Jill, that what you're saying you're putting in the chat is not actually getting there.
Okay.
That's
All
the first
right.
thing. So I'm not sure what's happening because everybody else's, but yours isn't.
Okay. All right, I'll go back and have a look at that.
Yeah. And the other thing I just wanted to say, and you've mentioned some of the resources available. There are, sorry, I've turned my camera off because I had someone just come to the door. There are a lot of resources on the website, and we've been doing a lot of work in the last 4 or 5 months to enhance those, update them, add new ones. There's various webinars. So some of the things that people have been asking for in the chat are actually there. I do know that, and we know from lots of feedback, that using the website itself is frustrating and sometimes difficult for people. So we're going to be looking at that as part of the work we're doing in the next couple of months to try and enhance either people's understanding of how to use it or fixing the issues that we've identified if we can.
Okay, thanks, Kerry. So just to finish off then, be yourself, be prepared, and that's come up lots of times. And most importantly, seek support, have a mentor, whether it's the person who was the president before you or somebody else in the club who's been a past president. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll go back to the downloads. Here we are. And I've got no idea. Did that come up there then in your chat? I think it did. Yep, there you are. And so if you'd just like to copy that information, that might be helpful for you as well. Has anybody got anything to say before we finish? One of the things that I was going to ask you to do, and I know this could be terribly onerous, but could you just put a word or two in the chat to say whether or not this has been helpful for you? Just say yes or, have a suggestion to what, no, don't say no, but if there's a suggestion there of something else you might like to know about or hear about. And don't forget, our speakers' email addresses are there and they're happy for you to contact them if you've got any questions about
The other thing, Jill, would be if you think the format needs to be changed or some element of the mechanics, and you've got some views on that. We're happy to hear what people think in terms of how we've operated this particular session.
Yes, that's right. As we said, it's our first. Now, also as well, I didn't acknowledge at the beginning that we have assistant conveners Jane and Liz on the call with us as well. So thank you very much. I did see Liz somewhere in all of those squares, but I can't see her right now. So thank you very much for that. And, you know, certainly get in touch if you can think of any other things that that you need to know about, any other educational forums that we can come up with. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting
Thanks,
us.
everyone.
And thank you to our conveners, especially
Thank you.
our panel members.
Jill, do you want to just stay on the